Hey, Truth Sisters. Petra Williams here, the founder of The Red Hot Truth. And of course, you know, The Red Hot Truth is designed by helping you succeed by being more of who you are, by highlighting your difference, so that you can live your red hot truth and blossom. Now, you and I both know that the coaching industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but it's also can come across as being quite competitive. And the reason for that, I see, is that everyone's just doing the same thing as everyone else, because we are all following this masculine model, business model, on how to build a business, because still it's perceived, the feminine is perceived to be bad for business. But man, it's exactly the opposite. The feminine helps you stand out. And Alison Callan is the perfect example of this. So she's the guest for this interview. She's a success and clarity coach and runs a multi-award winning business. Now, I have interviewed many incredible women on different things in different capacities, and yet none have demonstrated to me, like Alison, how to really tap into your femininity to build a business that brings you love and joy and fun. And she genuinely is enjoying it. When I was interviewing her, she shone so bright. I kept going, damn it, where's my sunglasses? But it was so beautiful to see that joy she had in doing it. And so this is what I want from you. I want you to tap into your feminine. I want you to find joy and love and fun in building the business, in serving the clients that you serve, because I promise you that when you do that, no one can ever compare to you. And Alison, as I said, has won multiple awards for her business. So check it out, write down her strategies. But most importantly, as always, listen to her red hot truth, listen to her philosophy in life, and then take that and see how you can implement it into your own life to build the life that you want, the business that you want, and serve the clients that you want. Have fun with this. There's a lot of laughter and a lot of joy. And of course, contact Alison, join her Facebook group, and please, as always, let's support each other by sharing this interview with all the other amazing coaches that you know. Have fun and enjoy. Alison, welcome to the Red Hot Truth podcast. It is so wonderful to finally sit down and be able to speak with you. So first of all, before I kick off with everything, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I really am. Full of beans.
Yeah, you are full of beans. I like it.
Yeah.
So, look, let's start off by you telling us about your business and about yourself, so we have a bit of an idea who Alison is.
Okay, that's such a big, expansive question. Where do I begin? So who is Alison? So firstly, I am a mum. Interestingly enough, that's the first thing that comes out, but it's true. I have two beautiful boys. I'm a wife to my husband, David, only child, daughter of mum and dad who are living in the UK, which is where I was brought up. And I resonate with being a clarity and success coach. So I guess my big purpose and my mission, so it has been revealed to me to date, is to help women really embody a life that they love and deserve through conscious awakening and connection with what it is that really lights them up. So I have always resonated with being an empathic, intuitive woman. And I think that's always really held me back to some extent by being full of so many emotions and always feeling into other people's situations and experiences wholeheartedly, and being affected and impacted by them. And I think that led to a lot of unconscious beliefs and patterns that kept me feeling quite small and limited until I embraced all of these wonderful gifts that I had, and all of the experiences that I'd had in life. And then I truly found my calling, I guess, in standing up and doing what I wanted to do in the world, which was become an associate certified coach, to actively work with people on a level where they were guiding themselves, where they were speaking their truth, where they felt heard, accepted, understood for where they were in that moment without judgment, and start to speak into their dreams and start to speak that into existence. And that is where I am now. I'm working as a clarity and success coach. I've created a book called The Conscious You, where I speak a lot of this in there, and some of my clients do as well, when they talk about how they embraced and consciously created from that conscious place within themselves and started to redesign their lives. And it's how I try and parent too. So it kind of encompasses and embodies all of the aspects of who I am and what I do, and gives you a little bit of an insight into who I am.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I'm very interested in the term conscious awakening. I'd love to flesh that out a little bit, because
Please do.
so because if someone's sitting at home and going, well, I believe I'm living an awakened life. So what do you mean by conscious awakening?
I guess I would say that it's that moment where you observe your life and go, is this really what I want? Is this really where I want to be? Is this really who I am? Who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? Am I fulfilled? Is this the experience that I set out to have? How did I get here? I guess another, to coin the phrase midlife crisis, is what it would have been called back in my parents' days. You know, they would have said all of a sudden they're doing crazy things that they never would have done before, and it's so out of character, and but actually they're just embracing some aspect of themselves that hasn't yet been met or integrated into their world, and they are exhibiting the fact that they want more. They're connecting with other aspects and really waking up to this one experience that we have here to embrace this life.
Amazing. So my understanding of it is really, conscious awakening is understanding that you are in full control of your life. So you can consciously create what you want. Yeah. And so I feel that many women are waiting for opportunities to come their way, or they still doing what they were told they needed to do. And I think when we reach, and I certainly, in my experience, when I hit my 40s, I think maybe like 39, 40, that's when I sort of went, you know what? Actually, I came closer to myself and went, you know what? Who I am is actually pretty awesome. And fuck you, right? And so, and I think that's really a nice stage to be. It's when you come out of that phase where you feel you have to do a certain things or toe a certain line, and you realize, well, consciously I can decide who I want to be and I can create what I want to create. And this is a lifelong thing. I think people think they've got it and then, this is it, right? But do you think, does that resonate with you?
Oh, hell yeah. We're always evolving. You know, my purpose and mission right now might not be the same tomorrow or the next day, because every single day I wake up and I learn and I grow and I expand, and all of a sudden I get this new profound piece of knowledge or wisdom through an experience, an emotion, a memory, and I have a choice to believe into that, to lean into that, to grow from that. And then the next day that might inform something that I never would have deemed possible or significant or important or interesting in my life previously without that one day before. So every single day, I work with so many women who want to, find their purpose. And they are so driven because they see some people that, at 6 years old have the moment of, I'm going to be a doctor, and that is it for the rest of their life. And they're so happy and content and everything is working towards that one thing. Yeah. And they feel like, I just want that. I want that one thing. And yet the journey is different for everyone. And the purpose and the mission and the process to get you there is forever evolving. So yes, I think God, so many days it's going to be different. And I used to be held back by this fear, this crazy fear that if I showed up to do podcasts or to do videos or to speak my opinion, what if I got it wrong? What if my opinion was wrong and somebody called me out on it because in a few years' time they said, but you said this then? Once I got over myself and went, well, I can say an opinion now with everything I have at my disposal, but in 2 or 3 years' time, of course it's going to be different, or it might not be, but it could be, because I'll know 2 or 3 years more worth of stuff. I will have grown, I will have evolved. And when I got into that place of going, actually, who I am today might be totally different tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can speak my truth at any given point, and it's still my truth at that point.
Absolutely. I really love that you bring up the purpose piece, because I was just thinking about that again today. And I know a lot of coaches use that, find your passion, find your purpose. And I thought, I actually did a bit of research on this because I was so interested in where this purpose piece comes from. And it's actually really new. So it only came in the 60s when, people stopped following their parents' footsteps. And because that was the given, you follow, you do what your parents do. And then eventually started coining, like, no, you do what you want to do. So it's a really, really new concept. Don't hold me to the date, but it's a really new concept. And also I feel that at the end of the day, everything's a decision. So I know that often, even in the spiritual space, they go, you're here for a reason. And, so many times that reason makes women not live where they at. They look too far ahead. They're constantly searching something that could just be right here, right? And it's a decision, right? And so I decided whenever that my only purpose in life is to learn fully through experience, to really just throw myself into experience and to grow as a person. And that's it. That's my only purpose. I'm not here to save the world. I'm not here to save any souls. I'm just here to live fully into the experience of life. And that's taken the pressure right off me, because I don't have to do this. Because once again, it's coined, isn't it? It's marketing in the coaching space. It's a marketing slogan, isn't it? Do you think?
It is, because there's so many people seeking. There's so many people seeking. And I think, it's the same in a political space. It's the same in a marketing space. It's the same in a religious space. It's looking for people that want to be part of something bigger that they believe in and their values. But I don't think people get to a point where they actually go, what are my values? What are my beliefs? What are my emotions telling me about this? We get so stuck in the grind that, eventually someone says, but if you're not living your purpose, then what are you doing it all for? And that's that conscious awakening of those feelings of, am I feeling fulfilled? Am I doing enough? Am I this, that, and the other? And, some people are going to get it and some people aren't. And those people that feel like they aren't just have a different definition of what purpose is. Like, you've just redefined purpose for you, which is perfect. You've redefined it. You've actually owned it and said, I want to feel purpose. This is how I'm going to do it. And it's going to be daily, and it's going to be through experiences. And as a result, look how strong and tall you stand and what you share and the inspiration and the impact you then do have on the world, whether that was your intention, but you started with yourself. And that is phenomenal.
Totally. And I just want to caution coaches, because we're speaking specifically to female coaches here, not to perpetuate those things. I know it's marketing spiel, but be very careful what pressure you put yourself and your clients under to find that one thing. For me, I know for me, my personality and for who I am, I will never have one thing. Like, that's just not within me, right? So it's also knowing yourself very much. And I just want to encourage coaches to be careful with that lingo. But coming back to business, so I'd love you to tell me a little bit about how you grew your business. I know there's a lot of female coaches out there not succeeding in business. So I'd love you to sort of share with us, how did you acquire business skills? How did you start growing your audience? How did you just get to the level where you are now?
How did I start in business? I wouldn't say it was accidental, but I initially started because I wanted to get my coaching certification. That was it. And I found out that the only way I could get my coaching certification was to have a business where people were paying me money to coach them for 80% of my qualifying hours that I had to produce to say that I could get my qualification.
Okay.
So I thought, I'll set up a business. And so I went through the process of learning how to set up a business with the intention that it was just going to be a hobby that I enjoyed on the side when I went back to work after I'd had my kids.
When you say you went through the process of learning how to start a business, what did you do specifically?
Specifically, I went onto Google, all-knowing Google, and I researched. Researched, and I just went, how, like literally the search topics were how to set up a business. Do I need to be a sole trader? Do I need to be a limited company? What's the difference? Like, why would you choose one over the other? And I tell you, that was a whole mind meld. I honestly, then how do you do business accounts? Do I need a business plan? My husband kept banging on that I needed one. I didn't want one, but he told me I needed one. And I'm coming from a corporate background where I was in governance and strategy and business planning. So you could tell that in terms of creating my own business, I just wanted to enjoy it. So I went into Google. I was like, what do I actually need? How do I need to do this? But then my standards came into play and I was like, well, I can't do this half-hearted. I have to have a website. I have to have a brand. I have to understand who I am in this space. And I have to have something appealing for people. And I have to enjoy it. So I had a party to launch the business.
Oh, I love it.
It was fun. So yeah, after I went into Google, after I'd got my website designed, after I sat and wrote a ton of copy around what is my message? What do I want to do? Why am I so passionate about this? I just started telling people. I just said, hey, I've started a business. And then I wrote letters to people. And the letters said, hey, I've started a business. If you know anyone that would be interested in being coached in these areas, this is what I'm good at, then, get them to contact me. I would really appreciate it. And that was literally, I kind of balk at myself thinking, gosh, the audacity that I had to do something like that with no idea what I was actually doing.
Wonderful.
But I just had so much passion. Like I know that I just genuinely wanted to help people. I wasn't in, the business wasn't the be all and end all. It was the service and the getting my qualification, because that was my big goal and big aim. And I still remember going to my first coaching session, terrified of what I was going to do. And it wasn't my first coaching session, but it was my first coaching session as me, under my business, under my brand.
Yeah.
I'd been coaching a corporate for ages, but it was a totally different, unique experience. So after all of that, it was just about getting experience under my belt. It was about getting testimonials. It was about questioning my clients as to the value that I added. What did they actually get as a result, so that I could understand what I was actively creating in the world. Was it in alignment with what I thought I was doing? Or was it something completely different? And at the time, I was very passionate about self-awareness and individuals and corporates really being mindful in their approach to culture, productivity, health and well-being. So I also rang every single corporate organization, daycare centers, because I could see they had a massive need for mindfulness and culture support. And I went out and I did workshops and I worked with them, and then I coached them, and it just grew from there. And now on the side of that, I created a Facebook group because I wanted a place to feel safe. I didn't want to be on my business page speaking about my opinions and my thoughts so avidly so early on, because I hadn't really formed enough of them. But I knew if I had a small collection of people that I could muck in with and grow a community that I was actually a part of, it would be fun. And I wanted fun. I wanted something that I enjoyed, and I wanted something that would keep the passion alive. And I wanted to learn and to grow and to be able to share the experiences I was having. So I did all of that. And then I started sharing with people free resources about practices that I'd adopted, things that really changed my life, things that really helped me. So my mindset pathway, morning rituals, my evening rituals, my ways of thinking, my clarity and success tips, and my mindfulness practices, and the self-talk, and just giving them, you know, hints and tips. And then I created challenges. And all of a sudden, what I'd started to notice was the people in my community were like me. Funny that. They wanted to start a business.
Yeah, amazing.
You know, they wanted to start a business.
Yes.
And they were conscious. They were consciously awakening and eager to do something more meaningful. They wanted to change their experiences that they'd had and turn it into a way to help others who were going through something similar.
Yes.
So I said, well, I'll do a 7-day business building challenge. I'll give you all of the ideas that I went through, all of the steps that I know to be true to build a solid foundation for a business that you can then leverage and grow from. And everyone loved it. And within about 2 or 3 days, I think it's still one of my most popular resources. Within about 2 or 3 days, people were saying, how can I work with you? How can I work with you?
Amazing.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that. I just wanted to help you.
Yes.
This is how far, like, I just loved doing it. And so I went out to all of the people that loved the challenge, and I just said, hey, if I were to put you all in a group, how would you feel? And they were like, we would love that. We would love that. And I said, well, how about we do like a 12-week business building so we can do something together? And then that was the start of it. Literally, all of a sudden I was a business coach, which I'm not particularly fond of the term. I actually then went out to all of my clients and said, what do I do for you? What's the difference? And they all came back with clarity and success.
Amazing.
So they all said, you give us clarity and you create success. And I was like, boom, that's it, clarity and success coach. So it's a client coined term, not mine, but I really like it because it fits. Without clarity, you can't have success because you don't even know what it is. And, you know, success breeds clarity. So it to me, it works really beautifully. So yeah. And then from there, it was a case of, I think 2 or 3 weeks into the group program that I created, they were saying, what can we do next? We don't want this to end in however many weeks. What can we do next? I was like, oh my lordy, I would love that. Let's do something else. And then I created the next program. And it was in that next program that some of those clients went on to produce my book with me, The Conscious You. And because every single experience I have had in business has been a learning experience, you know, it's been a way of gaining more knowledge, of understanding so much more, of really adapting and appreciating where my skill set lies and where I can make the biggest impact. And fundamentally, what do I enjoy doing the most? So for me, it's keeping that high vibe enjoyment factor and creating what my audience wants and needs. Because after I did the Accelerator Master Circle, which became my 6-month program, I had quite a lot of discovery calls coming in. I had a lot of people saying, I'd like to work with you. I can't afford to work with you. I can't afford the time. I can't afford the money. I don't know, but I need help. I need help. And I really, really, really wanted to help. And my husband always laughs because, you know, if we won the lottery and money wasn't an object, I would still be doing what I do now. And I would just be, you know, I would just let anyone and everyone be helped without it costing anything. I know differently about that now, but I still would give freely because I love what I do and I know the impact and the difference it can have. However, I created a membership as a result of that because I thought I want to help with these people. I know one of the biggest things they need is community because it's not just a one-on-one. It's that we rise together. We learn from one another. It's not always just me. So I created a really value-packed membership space for people to go into. I created that for those people that needed something but couldn't quite get there in time or money, because time is one of the biggest things I appreciate people would always love so much more of. But also it gave them the aspect of having that accountability, having somebody to talk to, having somebody that they could see that was driving them or sharing stories and challenges and providing content that would help them get to the next thought process or the next business decision or the next system or process, or remind them of the something, because they were so stuck in what they were doing. So my business literally evolved through listening to what my clients and my community and my customers needed and wanted, as opposed to me saying, this is what I want to do, who's with me.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think it's probably odd.
No, it's not actually. So it's so lovely that you say that, because I have to think about how you say her name. Her name's Linan. It's not Leanne, it's Linan, right?
Linan, okay.
In my head. So she does digital marketing for businesses and runs retreats globally and things like that. And she had a very similar experience to you, where she was saying, well, I actually started paying attention to what people were asking me, continuously asking me to do. And I went, oh, hang on, like I'm constantly telling people about this. And very similar to you, said, hey, if I start this business, would you want to work with me? And they're like, hell yes. So I started like that. And I think that's definitely the way to go, because often, as you mentioned, coaches or people who choose to go into coaching businesses have had an experience, have had coaching help them. They then go, okay, well, I want to help other people with this, who've had the same experience. And so then they have this predetermined idea of what the clients want from them. But it's really important to acknowledge, everyone's experience is the same. And so and so it's really important to listen what people are asking you about, what are people responding to you about, and then tailoring to that need. And also what you said, I think, is so essential, is fun. Like, my core archetype is the joker. So it has to be fun for me. Like, if it's not, it's out, forget it, right?
Yeah.
But it is fun, and the enjoyment of doing it, because when you do enjoy it, it is just something you want to do as well, right? So it's about finding that enjoyment behind that. I wonder though, I'll come back to that community piece. I'm just interested, because there was no pressure on you to necessarily build that business. You were sort of doing it more as a side gig while
there was pressure.
Oh, was there? Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Because I thought, maybe it was just a side gig and you're like, oh, it's fine, like however it goes. I know there was pressure.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was pressure. So, pressure from me, pressure from my husband, pressure from, our finances, in terms of not seeing my potential earlier enough. I think my husband is always my litmus test. He really does ground me. We are yin and yang. He is, I'm airy fairy and up in the clouds and creative and visionary, and he is all, earthy, grounding, logic. And he brings me back to the fundamentals of what it takes to establish and build, as opposed to just create and, that just entrepreneur headspace. So for me, it's not been an easy journey, I think. And, time and money are always the clinchers, because the expectation for me was that I would build this business and I would be able to stay at home and be there with the kids, do drop-offs and do pickups. But in actual fact, we moved from New Zealand to Australia last year, and I had to re-establish my business from the back end, from one country to another country. So I had to stop it all in New Zealand, start it all up in Australia, and actually start to build my audience, not necessarily again, but expand and grow and have higher expectations of myself, because I'd set the bar to the point where, I was writing a book, bringing out a book. I had these programs, I had people wanting things, and I had to move at their pace. And yet my belief systems weren't necessarily at that stage. They were being triggered and they were being tested around, can I do this? Am I good enough? Am I getting the results for my clients? Am I not? And a lot of that stuff was fantastic when I had success, but fundamentally setting up all of those programs and all of those systems and all of that business acumen again was really tricky in such a limited amount of time. And the goal I had last year was, within the year, I wanted to make sure that my eldest son was no longer in before school care or after school care. I wanted to be able to drop him off beforehand and pick him up afterwards. And I wanted to be able to go to all of the after school activities and things like that. And it took me 10 months. It took me 10 months to get to that place, but I did it. And it definitely wasn't easy. But the biggest thing for me was the beliefs that were triggered. The beliefs of, am I good enough? The beliefs of, do I deserve to take, do I deserve for somebody to invest in me and what I can do for them? Is it good enough? Is it life-changing enough? What are they going to get? What are they going to receive? And is my content good enough? Am I doing enough? Am I helping enough? There's so much around that. At certain points, I really had to take a step back and have that hard word with myself around, actually, this is what my role is. As a coach, I'm not there to fix it. I'm not there to, give advice and guidance. I'm not there to tell them this is the only way that you are going to build your business. I'm there to support them to a level of self-awareness where they don't have any of this stuff hanging over them, so that I can hold a mirror up and show them what it is that I see in their potential. And yet they can see it too, because they have that clarity, they have that confidence, they have that self-belief. They've, all of their beliefs have been cleared and tested. And that meant I had to do the work on mine. So with every escalation in my business, with every new client, new concept, I think I'm always triggered into checking in on my level of self-awareness and doing my personal development work and making sure that I'm keeping up to date with all of my self-care in order to do the best job that I can do for my clients. Because as long as I walk away from every single client session saying, I did the job that I was there to do, and I, hand on heart, was present, I was curious, I was there for them, I was holding space, I was non-judgmental, I was, giving them the encouragement, I was challenging them where they needed it to be, they walked away different. That's the impact, that's the influence. I'm not there to say, follow this 6-step system and you will create success. It's not coaching, that's mentoring. And that's not who I am. I'm here to help people self-awaken and realize that they have the answers within, and if they don't have them right now, they know how to get them. And feel empowered to be able to do that. Because I don't want a ton of women working with me and leaving me having the same business model or a similar business model. They're not who I am. It's not going to work for them. They need to have an independent streak of uniqueness that says, this is who I am. I own this brand. This is me. I'm forever evolving. I'm always changing. And this is the results that I can get because this is the results that I have seen. And I want that. I want that level of ownership and empowerment, and it's beautiful.
It is. And and just watching you, I mean, you can't watch her on the podcast. Obviously, I can watch her on the Zoom call. But I can just see you light up, and it's just, you have such joy and love in your face when you say that. And absolutely, I know from my own personal life experience, my business only grows as much as I grow. So I'm the ceiling. It's really an interesting space to be in. I love that. I want to come back to the community piece, because I know at the moment, the whisper in the neighborhood is women are really struggling with networking, supporting each other in business. I also feel that lots of women actually strive for friendship as well. I feel that there's a lot of feeling of disconnection. So not only do they want the business support, they also want the emotional support. So how can, from your membership site and from your members, what have you found that works the best for women with networking and supporting each other emotionally and in building the business?
It's a really great question. And I think it's different for everyone. I really do. I think for me, it's leading by example. I'm a huge introvert.
Are
I
you?
love to introvert. Yeah.
Oh my God, I wouldn't have said.
Yeah, no, I am a huge introvert. Get me into a room full of women and I will happily just sit there and observe. But I'm really happy doing that because I own that aspect of me. I gain my energy by being quiet and being still. And I think it's that level of self-acceptance that gets people to be okay in those arenas. I know a lot of my clients, we talk about going networking, and I've recently joined a networking group because I do so much work online, and I wanted to be out meeting human beings in the flesh.
Yeah.
But I didn't want just any old hobby. I love business and I love talking to other passionate purposepreneurs, if you want to speak it in that way. But people that are running a purposeful business, one that gives them more fulfillment than just the material aspects of having a business. And it is nerve-wracking to be in that environment. You feel exposed and you feel as though maybe you're a bit of an imposter. I think people trying to define themselves in that place of, this is what I do, but who exactly am I? And when you're in a purposeful business, and I don't feel, it doesn't come naturally to say I'm a business coach, but it's the easiest way of labeling me in everybody's eyes for them to understand that's what I do.
Yeah.
As opposed to who am I? I'm a clarity and success coach because that's what I create, and I resonate with that. But people go, who needs clarity or success? I don't get it.
Totally, right.
So I think it's that how do you belong in a place where the majority of people need you to be defined as a something in order to relate to you.
Yeah.
So I think having a space where people feel like they can belong because they connect with people through their stories or their personal experiences, or the fact that they have something in common, like they live in the same place, or they grew up in the same town, or they have a similar connection to something, or they've been somewhere on holiday. I think it's that having a conversation that enables people to start a conversation. So a lot of the times in my communities, I ask questions, who's got what going on today, or who's planning to do something, or what, what's your biggest skill? Or I did something the other day about an exchange in my community. I was like, who's got a skill that they want to share with the world, but they don't need a monetary return. They want a service or a something as a result of that too. How can we exchange this without having to, it's got to be something you really want to give and something you really want to need. It was fascinating how many people wanted to give, but nobody really needed that much.
Amazing.
But they all wanted to give. It was beautiful because they love what they do, and it was a way of people going, oh, I didn't know you did that, or that's fascinating, tell me more about this. It just started conversations, and it started people understanding who the person is behind the business and why it's important to them. I started just before we came on here, actually, I was interviewing one of the community members because I used to meet them online. I used to open up coffee chats to meet everyone in my community if they wanted to, and just have a chat, get to know them and see who they were, because I want to know who's in there and what they're trying to achieve by being there. And it was really interesting to have these coffee chats. And I kind of thought, well, hang on a second, I'm being quite selfish here because I'm keeping all these wonderful people to myself.
Yeah.
So I decided to stream them into the community and actually interview these women about, who they are, what their life's like, what's their business all about, how can they help people, and just get other people to hear from them and feel into their energy and see them relaxed and chatting and just having fun and feeling comfortable. Yeah. And it breeds beautiful conversations. It breeds curiosity. There's no, I want to do what they're doing, or I think that person's got more success than me. There's a mix of stories that everyone shares where they're learning. We have on a Friday, I think it is, we have what's the valuable lesson that you've experienced this week, and how can you share it with the community so that everybody can benefit from your wisdom?
Yeah.
It's not what went wrong this week, or what did you fail at, or what hurdle did you face. It's, you know, what did you learn?
Yes.
And how can you tell people through your experience
share the
what
wisdom.
that's like?
Yes.
It's amazing when they do that. It's amazing because it's almost cathartic. It heals them as much as it shares, because you guarantee in a community there's someone else that gets it.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I just love that so much. It sounds to me like what you're telling me is that you are putting, if it's not the right word, but you're enjoying it so much, and you genuinely, you are passionate. There's always such, it's overused term, right? But you, it is a very overused term at the moment. But I mean, passionate's not even the word. You genuinely care. Like, this is that you.
Yeah, I am the coach that cares.
I know. You are, Jenny, and it's. I can just sense it from you. I mean, I don't know if you guys hear it in the podcast, but all the things you do, you know, just to pick up the phone and ring around, to, you know, to make the effort to meet the people in your community is just so wonderful. And I feel what the greatest lesson there is, you know, is often people, I've heard coaches often say, I'm giving, and I'm getting nothing in return. I hear that all the time. And I often think sometimes if we don't ask for what we need, then we're not going to get that. And the reason coaches give is because they don't have clarity around what they need. And so it's actually a form of hiding. It's such an interesting dynamic. But if you don't know what you need, how could people possibly give it to you if you don't ask for it? So, and just by making time to get clarity around that, and then once you have clarity, you can actually be a better community member, because because you clear around what your gig is, you can contribute wholeheartedly and not sit there in a space of resentment, going, I'm giving all the time. I've heard that so often. I that's what I really get from what you tell me. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Amazing. I do want to go. So you have got some awards, which is ooh la la. You just won.
Ooh la la, indeed.
La. So you just won a couple of Stevie Awards, which is so much fun. So I'm really interested, for the audience, is how did you get those awards? And tell us what they are. I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, because I think you can share the most. And also, how do they feel winning those, and has that impacted your business? I mean, so many questions. I'm sorry. I know I should be asking one of them.
No, not in the slightest. Go, like it's the most profound experience. And I was having a discovery call the other day. An onboarding call with one of my clients, and we were talking about awards. Because, you know, it's an experience. I have to be honest, it's an experience. So I was working with a PR company, and I think I must have been the worst client in the world. Because, now hear me out, I did not want to share a rags to riches story. I was like, you are not to say that anything bad has ever happened in my life, or I've ever had to get over anything, because that's not the message I want to share. You know, it's not that I'm ashamed, but I just don't think I've done anything that overwhelming from a rags to riches place. So we're not going to talk about anything that isn't fabulous and positive and wonderful, because it's not who I am.
Yeah.
So can you imagine how hard it was to get me any kind of PR? You know, what do journalists and newspapers, they want to hear there was a struggle to a success.
Yes.
Because it's an interesting story. They want to hear that stuff. They want to go, Alison, you know, had no legs and grew two. Because
I love that.
Because it's interesting, and it's different. They don't want to hear life was fabulous for Alison. She's never thought she's had anything go wrong, and look at what she's created now.
She's more fabulous. It's like, yeah, great, thanks, chick.
Yes. So, worst client ever. So anyway, they said to me, Alison, we found these perfect awards for you. We think that you should put yourself up for them because it would be amazing. And it was called the Pitman Training Awards in the UK. Obviously, I live in Australia, but they were in the UK, and the categories were, I think it was Mumpreneur of the Year. And I was like, oh yeah, I can get down with that. That sounds like me. I'm a mum. I really value what I've done in business and what I've been able to achieve. You know, I can do that. The other one was Inspirational Achiever of the Year.
Oh,
Now,
la
how
la.
la is that? Yeah.
Well, I like
And I was
it.
like, oh, I like the feel of that. Like, there was nothing tangible. So I had seen some awards when I first started very early on in business, and I went and had a look at them, and I was like, I don't want to share my business accounts with people. Like, I don't think success is based on money. Success is based on for me, because I define my success. She says very confidently, it's my way, my success.
Of course,
But,
it's your truth,
it
right?
is.
Yeah.
It's my truth.
Yeah.
And, this is what I say to my clients. I will never talk openly about, I can help you get 5-figure months or 10, whatever it is that other people like to share, because I can't. It's not down to me. It's down to my clients.
Yes.
We can talk about processes, but maybe they don't want 5-figure months. That's not the biggest thing in life for them. It's what are they going to do as a result of having those 5 figures in their account? It's how can they help the world? How can they contribute more? So that's what I want to focus on, the fulfillment, the contribution. Anyway, so when it came to awards, I was like, oh, I know my values. I know who I am. I want to apply for awards that actually speak to what I'm trying to create in the world, that I can actually jump alongside and say, that resonates with me. I feel as though I'm this, that, and the other. Now, as a coach, I feel that it is my duty to keep growing, to keep learning. And I can only go as far as that ceiling you were saying that I have on me personally.
Yes.
So I thought, oh God, I can feel the discomfort coming out through my shoulders right now. I had to put myself out there to experience this so that I could help my clients. I had to experience everything, whether I wanted it or not. Like I've experienced doing Facebook ads, and I've experienced, even if it didn't have a resonance with me, I thought, well, I've got to go through the process of learning how to do this, because some people it will resonate with. And if I don't know how to do that, or if I don't know how to share the experience and the processes, how can I coach them? How can I understand what they're going through? So I thought, well, my philosophy has always been to just do everything and try everything. Even if it's not a great fit, it doesn't have to be with a result in mind, except, like you said, the experience.
Yeah.
So that's how I went into these awards. I went into the awards as inspirational achiever and as mumpreneur, and I made it to the finals. And I got to the finals. I know. Okay. It was amazing. People then started voting. And I was like, oh my God, people are voting. Like, this is incredible. am I going to win? Am I not going to win?
Yeah.
And I've been held back around the belief of, it's not, what if I don't win? Then I've failed. And I thought, tosh with that. That's not true. It's not true for me, because who else has been up here on, as one of the last 3 people in a business saying they're an inspirational achiever? Holy moly, that I'm done. Like, life
it's amazing. Yeah.
So I was happy with that. I was so ecstatic with that. And then somebody, I don't know where or how, but somebody nominated me for another award in the UK, and I made it to the finals. It was in the UK. I hadn't been back to the UK for years. Ever since I'd left when, I think 9 years ago now, and I hadn't been back. And I just said to my husband, how would you feel if I went to that award ceremony? I said, wouldn't it just be fabulous? There wasn't a ceremony for the last awards. This is a whole new experience. How would you feel if I went back? And he was like, oh, just do it. Just get it out of your system. You can go see your mum and dad at the same time. Yeah. And I went, and lo and behold, holy moly, I won.
Amazing.
And I won international business in the Empower Awards. I had no speech prepared. I had nothing prepared. And it was one of the biggest kind of like reality checks. And I came back and I was like, well, I've won an award. What am I going to do with that? Like, what does that do? Apart from the fact that it made me feel fabulous. And I was like, I can ride this fabulous wave for a long time. I just thought, well, what do I do next? And that's when I saw a webinar. Actually, I love coincidences. A friend of mine contacted me and said, you should follow this webinar. It's all about awards and you've just won one. So I went and followed the webinar and I learned what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Again, learning, love it. And they said, the Stevies are coming up. And I thought, that sounds wonderful. They called it the Oscars of the business world. And it was in New York. And I thought, I could do with going to New York. That would be fabulous. Fabulous wave. I'm riding it. So I thought, why not? Let's just do it. And I put myself in for it, and I had 24 hours, and I actually worked with an agency who did it for me. I went through I collected all my information and I gave it to them. And I had a lot because I've been working with a PR company on, who I was, what I stood for. I had a whole collateral of blogs I've written and things I was trying to do, and I knew what I was trying to do, and I collected testimonials, and it was fabulous. So I had all this stuff, and I just went, here you go. If you think I could do this thing, then why not? Fabulous wave up here, thinking
Totally.
either way, we'll just have fun. And I made the finals, and that was it. I was like, honey, I'm going to New York.
He's like, look, it was fine the first time, but this is becoming a right?
It was, but it's a great habit to have. What a habit. I mean, amazing. Yeah. And I went to New York, and I won I won 2 awards. I won a bronze in Women Helping Women.
Yes.
And I won a silver in Coach of the Year.
Amazing.
So it gives me goosebumps. It was I can't even describe. And in all honesty, for me, it's not something I feel of as leverage. It's not something I'm actively out there sharing and tooting my own horn and things like that. I feel very much that it's an experience that I had that has made me feel so much more empowered to share what I can do, and reminds me what I'm capable of.
Amazing. Yeah.
And again, it's about how it impacts me. It's not there to say anything to anybody else other than remind me, and I keep looking up over there because I can see them, but I keep it reminds me of what I'm capable of.
Who can you see? Do you have some special?
I have my awards. Yeah.
Oh, your awards. I was like, you got to do spirits guides or something. Oh, that's
I do that occasionally.
I'm like, that's really
I'm looking at my awards and I wave at them and talk to them.
Oh, I love that. So I love that so much. I just and just having that acknowledgement that you are doing some great work and opening yourself up to that and saying, hey, this is awesome. And I think also taking stock, because it's easy to get work and be in the enjoyment of it. Every now and then it's really nice to just take a bit of stock, isn't it? And
it is, yeah.
And just vibrationally, because we label it spirituality, but just vibrationally, I love how you talk about riding the wave, because that's literally what it is. Like, you've got this high momentum going on, you're on a high flying disc, and that's when you want to act, and that's when you want to take those big steps, because you're feeling amazing. And that's why it's so important to feel good when you make big decisions, because that vibration just makes it happen, right? If you're feeling low, forget it. Like, go and have a cup of coffee, forget it, right? Because yesterday was a perfect example for me. It just started off badly, and it just got worse and worse and worse for me. And all I could think of is, I need a nap. I need to break this momentum. Like, I need a nap. Yeah. And I just didn't have the opportunity. But I just remembered saying to myself, you do not tell anyone about what's happening. You do not speak about this, because I didn't want that momentum, that vibration to be verbalized. Far out was I having a shit day yesterday.
Oh, no.
It happens, right? Like,
it does, yeah.
More of polarity, right? But it's just, but then acknowledging that and not making decisions on that day, right? But I love that, and just being in that high, that good feeling space is really important, right? Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Hearing.
And I also, something you mentioned about, I didn't want to speak into that vibration. A couple of my clients have done that, and they've said, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to feel that vibration. And I've said, but I can sense it from you anyway. Yes. If you don't talk about it and actually release it through some mechanism, and if that's one conversation to actually expel it from your body and your vicinity, do it, but do it with love and compassion, and use your words wisely. But at the same time, get it out. Don't hold it in and keep it like a lump in your throat. And that was, they were like, oh, but you're not meant to. Well, you choose your truth, right? You choose what's right for you in that particular moment. And like you said about not making decisions and knowing what you needed and not being able to get it. But even that was a success in itself, knowing what you needed and knowing how to get through the day. And yeah, I just think that's an empowering space to be
Yeah, and
in.
I fully acknowledge what you're saying. And so what I did, because I know I need to move my body,
Oh
because I
yeah,
know how, so I went boxing, I
yeah,
did a boxing class yesterday. I'm
perfect.
like, I need to fucking hit this shit out.
Yes.
Like, I need to get this energy, because it does, I can feel
Yeah,
it
it does.
sitting very
Yeah.
heavily on me. And I'm like, okay, I'm
Mm.
not going to speak about it. I'm just going to bash some bag somewhere and just get that in. And also, a friend of mine,
Perfect.
she does a lot of trauma coaching, and she said also when you shake your body naturally releases stress through shaking, and
Yeah.
she taught me how to do it. And
Yes.
so I did a lot of the shaking, but to just release some of that tension out. But the boxing was so much better, right? Kick some shit
Oh
out of
yeah, of
there.
course.
And such wonderful discussion. I just want to just touch a bit on feminine leadership now. So, because this podcast I originally generated because to give rise to the feminine, to help
Mhm.
women run business the feminine way, and also to stand in their own truth, in their own femininity. And I feel
Mhm.
that that's particularly difficult now, because it's still a very masculine world. It's still the people who are the big wigs in the coaching business are still men. And what I just quickly wanted to share here was, I'm traveling through Australia and driving a lot. And so I listen to a lot of podcasts, which is wonderful. That's my
Mm.
learning. Yeah, and so I was listening to about finances and learning about finances, and I was actually
Mhm.
listening to a woman's podcast about finances, and they were quite a bit younger, which is always
Mm.
interesting for me because the youth have a different take on things, which is also always interesting. But she was talking about, it's not normal for us to always buy a new outfit for a dress, and it's not normal for us to get a credit card and just spend, on useless
Mm.
things, and don't believe all the marketing hype. And I thought,
Mhm.
wow, that's the first time I've actually heard someone say
Mhm.
that about, credit card stuff, because men don't experience those same pressures.
Mm.
And so I think, we need to have the feminine voice more.
Mm.
So what's your thoughts around feminine leadership?
It's really interesting that you say that, because I was with some girlfriends the other day, and we were talking about graduates going into corporations and how interesting it is around the equality for women this day and age. Slightly different take, but it does lead me to this, that when the graduate men are given an offer for a job, they automatically go, the door has been opened to negotiation. Is this your starting offer? Whereas the women all say, thank you very much. When can I start?
Yeah.
And I think I was absolutely fascinated by that, because for me, I always think an offer is an opportunity. It's that, does this resonate? Does this not? But I remember so much being in corporate and accepting,
Yes.
not testing the waters, not asking. But I would never have expected my husband to take a job without saying, this is what I was actually expecting, as opposed to maybe what I've been offered, or, vice versa. It is really, really interesting. And I think it's that question. Women are learning and starting to question. And it's the questioning that leads to the knowledge and the wisdom and the gathering of more information in order to understand, to seek to identify their place in the world. And, up until now, we've been so, I don't know, just accepting. We are such a nurturing species. And I do feel that from so many women, that we care and we want to care and we want to belong, and we have those, whereas the men, that comes secondary,
Mm-hmm.
and that needing community, that needing to feel like we are contributing to something bigger, does seem to come stronger through women. And as a result, we are so much more accepting of starting somewhere. It was really interesting to get that, to have that concept. And I do think the younger generation are starting to change. They are starting to ask more questions and pose more gentle curiosity in what is going on in their worlds, and where they want to be and where they want to stand. But yeah, when it comes to value and self-expression, I don't think it's there yet. I don't think there's enough empowered knowledge to really hone in on that and feel comfortable with that.
And I feel that that's why the business you run, the business I do, or not even the business, but the work we do is so important. That conscious awakening and that finding your truth. And exactly as you say, we just need to start asking questions about it for ourselves. And I think that's really the crux of it, and not to be hard on ourselves because we're not at a certain place. And yeah, I love that also when you say we're so accepting and nurturing, and that's a wonderful quality. Instead of looking at it and going, oh, that's really awful, just say, yeah, I am accepting and nurturing. Now I just need to question what I'm going to accept. That's a beautiful take, isn't it?
I do think the world needs a lot more nurturing and a lot more compassion and kindness and the gentle approach. You know, I really think we bring a lot of strength through that.
Very, very true. And very, very true. And just standing the feminine. Jacinta from New Zealand, you said you moved from New Zealand. She's a perfect example of what a gentle approach can do, and opening your heart. And it's funny because I went to a speaking event the other day, and this young lady, they were doing speaking, and I was mentoring them, and I said to the young lady, you keep crossing your legs, you keep shutting yourself off, own your space. And I said, you speak very warmly from the heart, so own that. And she came to me and she said to me, I don't want to be warm from the heart, I want to be tough. And because there's power in toughness. And I said, you're mistaken. I said, the greatest power is showing up fully with your heart open and being there and being exposed to possible pain, but saying, I don't care, I will open myself up to you fully and wholeheartedly. I said, that's the most courageous thing. I said, everyone can be an arsehole. So I think it's remembering that, right? She was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, but seriously, everyone can be an arsehole, right? So
absolutely.
How many people warmly and genuinely open up to you? I think that's just such a beautiful way of being. Oh my God.
And how many?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know, I'm like, we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. I was like, but when you think of the most impactful leaders like Jacinta, who is similar to her? Who else is there that springs to mind? You can't you can't compare her. No. And I think this is where people are getting confused. If you show up authentically as who you are with the story that you have, you can't be compared. Like, nobody can turn around and say, oh, you remind me of, I don't know, because they're so captivated by your truth and your authenticity and your self-awakening that they're not thinking, oh, but she reminds me of Oprah, or she's like Sandra Bullock, or whoever it is. Yes. You're just you're captivatingly you. And that's
I
enough.
love that. Yes. And that's why the Red Hot Truth, the blurb for it is succeeding by being more of who you are, highlighting your difference. And as you say, when you're genuinely you, there is no comparison, right? It's this disease to fit in. And now working in schools around Australia, I see it happening to girls right at the primary school age, where everyone's, fit in, then they get to their teenage years, and that's really important. And it's this constant desire to fit in, and standing out in schools is punished. You're not following the rules. Like, what's going on, right? Yeah. And so you're being punished from an early age and being labelled. And I think that's where it really starts.
Of course. Yeah.
And we have a responsibility as conscious women to live by example, because how else can we do it, right?
Yeah.
So everyone listen up. Like, lead by example. I'm so passionate, but I'm so bold in that thought and that drive. It's like, stop trying to be like everyone else. Why the hell would you? Like, it's so boring. Yeah. Be fabulous like us, obviously.
Ride the wave.
Totally. So my favorite question of all time is, what is your red hot truth and how are you living it?
I think it has to be that you are who you are today, and it doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow. And how I'm living it is by learning, improving, giving myself a goddamn break from the expectations that I might wield on myself, that I might never meet, and just enjoy and experience. And if at any point I can connect with my consciousness to choose in a moment to do something or not do something or say something or feel something or be something, then right then and there, that's good enough. You know, that's absolutely good enough. I think I'm raising my boys to honestly believe that the beliefs and experiences that they have right now do not have to last them a lifetime. Because yes, they're in a school system. Yes, they're in a family who are creating rules for their safety and their well-being and for my sanity. But, you know, they can challenge them when they're at a point when they can look after themselves and they can say, is this now my truth? Maybe it's not. But I want them to know that it's safe to do that at any given moment, and they can activate their abilities to consciously create their realities their way. And I'm doing that. Yeah.
Beautiful. I just to because I was like I want to finish the interview, and I just want to add the amazing thing you just said is that just today I read an email by a fabulous woman called Esther Perel. So she does eroticism and relationships. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And she brought up the concept of self-love. And once again, it came up, in the 1950s. I did my research. I'm like, where did that come from? And also the misconception of what self-love is, and exactly what you just described is what self-love is that, hey, I'm cool any way I am. I'm going to fuck up, but it's a lesson, and it's just going to help me grow. And I'm okay, flawed and beautiful and all, and that's who it is. And that's true self-love, I think, when you can truly just go, this is who I am, and it's not always going to work out the way I think it is, and that's okay. And exactly what you just described. So I just want you guys to know that if you didn't catch it, just rewind it. Oh, we don't rewind it anymore. We just go back. I don't know what the right term is. Go back and listen to that definition again.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful definition. Reverse? No, rewind. Anyway, Alison, I digress. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful truth with us today. It has been genuinely beautiful. Everything you say, just you shine saying it. It
has moved me.
It's moved me. I can feel it even through the wonderful screen. It's just your genuineness and your heart and your beauty is just shining through. And I trust that the audience will hear that. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Tell the audience how can they get hold of you?
They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on my website. So website is www.alisoncallan.com. And from there, I am accessible by all means of social media, and all my free resources there, book, journal, the work. So get yourself to the website, and that will be the portal to connect with me.
And is the group a paid group or an invitation only group, or can people join the group as well?
It's on one of my free resources. So the membership group is the Conscious Business Circle, and my free group is my Conscious Creation Community, and both are on Facebook. But yeah, the Conscious Creation Community is free and open for everyone to join who is of like mind. And and then the business circle is available for those that want that extra me in their life.
And she's fabulous. And she looks amazing. So
drive the wave.
Alison, thank you so much. I better finish it now, as I'm never going to finish it.
Yes, I know. It's terrible, isn't it? Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap, sisters. Remember to love us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you have not already, sign up to The Red Hot Truth of theredhottruth.com for tips for coaches specifically. Share this interview, share the love, share the support, and remember to live your red hot truth and to blossom.